All right.
After I taught 2 years in the country I went out of high school, we took the examination, the county examination to teach, to get a certificate.
Yes.
You knew that.
Yes,
I did that, and I taught 2 years on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went back to school. I went to school at Alva and got a life certificate.
Mm-hmm.
And taught on that. I went to Moreland to teach, and there I met my husband.
At Moreland.
Mm-hmm. He was a teacher too. He was a math teacher and a coach.
Okay. And then
his name was Howard Keffer.
Married the superintendent?
No, he wasn't the superintendent.
Oh, just teacher?
He was teacher here.
And his name was?
Howard Keffer.
How do you spell the last name?
K-E-F-F-E-R. He did become superintendent at Tangier after we were married.
Mm-hmm.
Then he moved to Woodward. He didn't like the administration. He moved to Woodward to teach math in the junior college here.
Mm-hmm.
And he found out he had cancer.
Oh. There used to be a business college in Woodward years ago.
That was before our time.
Before your time.
It had closed by the time we moved over here.
Uh-huh. Well, do you remember anything about it that you could tell me about it? I haven't found anybody that knew about it, about the business college.
I don't know a thing in the world about it, only they had one for I don't know how many years. Just a few. And then, of course, after they put the junior college in with the high school, that's when Howard was hired over here to teach math in college.
Well,
come in.
Okay. How many years did you put in altogether teaching?
39.
39. You finally retired then.
I retired. I mean, I taught till I got ready to retire. Taught 39 years altogether.
And what was your favorite grade to teach?
Third.
Third grade. I liked little folks.
I taught the third grade in Woodward all the time.
They will just do so much for you without asking why should I do this. They just precious little.
They're so anxious to learn too.
Yes, they are at that age. Anything outstanding in your school work?
No. Just
Did you have any outstanding pupils?
Well, the one I can think of now is an Army man that retired this summer as a, let's see, he was the next step up would have been a general.
Well.
His name was Brandenburg. He was born at Enid, and his parents moved here.
And you can't think of his first name?
John.
John. Does he still live here in?
No, he retired this spring, and he retired in Georgia, I believe it was.
But he was originally from Woodward?
He was born in Enid, but he was here because his parents both had jobs here when he was in school. He graduated from high school here.
Wonder if what wars did he serve in, if any, do you know?
Well, I know No, I really don't. It was the wars that would be in that area, I'm sure.
That he would be serving. What year, do you remember how long he's been since he's retired?
Just this spring.
Just this spring? Well, then he was probably in World War II, and maybe...
Sure he was.
Maybe the Korean War.
I imagine he was. I'm sure he was, since he made the Army his career.
How many children did you have?
I didn't have any. I did say I married the second time, didn't I?
No, not yet.
Well, I did. My first husband's name was Keffer, and my second husband's name was Moore.
I see. You lost your first husband, he died, did he?
He died of cancer.
Oh. And the second marriage now.
He died of...
When were you married to him?
Let's see. In May 1930.
And when did he die?
He was only 32. Must have been about 35. I don't remember exactly.
When he died?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you weren't married very long.
No, just less than 6 years.
And do you mind telling me what was his problem?
He had cancer.
Well, and you never married anymore?
No. Let's see. No, wasn't that Howard Keffer? Did I make him the second husband or the first?
Burroughs first.
No, that was my maiden name.
Oh, yes, maiden name. Let's see. Married Howard Keffer.
Yeah, school teacher.
39 years teaching school, 3rd grade. Outstanding pupil was John Brandenburg. Retired, lives in Georgia, retired in...
Now, there may be several other outstanding pupils, but he's the one that's on my mind right now because it happened. He retired this spring.
Yes, he's the latest one.
And there are several very good businessmen here in Woodbridge who went to school to me. But that's to be understood when you stay in a place like I did.
Oh, yes. Did Pratt Vi ever go to school?
No, Pratt didn't. Denny Trigo did.
Danny Trigo.
Denny, D-E-N-N-Y.
Danny. Orland Trigo took us through the museum and told us all about it, which we enjoyed so much yesterday, and I made a tape of it as we walked around. Okay, I'm going to leave that blank, and maybe you'll think of some more.
I can tell you some more. Let's see, John Sparks is a lawyer here.
Okay.
I'll think of them as we go along.
Well, after your second marriage ended, then what did you do?
I went back to school and got my degree, and then I got a job here.
And you've been teaching ever since?
Till I retired in 1973.
Okay, you retired in 1970.
I think.
You know, you're just a year older than I am, but you know, there's times I can't remember how. And I just get so mad at myself.
I do too.
Retired in 1973.
See, there are other people that went to school to me. I'd go downtown and I'd see a dozen of them.
I expect.
I
What about Brandon Frost?
No, but I had Brandon's 3 children in school.
Well, how many sisters do you have?
I have 3. I had 3 sisters and 3 brothers. 2 sisters are living and 1 brother.
And 2 sisters living?
Mm-hmm.
Do they live here in?
No. One lives at Shattuck and one lives in Spearman, Texas.
And 1 brother?
He lives at Gage.
Well, Burroughs, I think I've met your brother. You see, I worked on a book, History of the Oklahoma Panhandle. Man in the Oklahoma Panhandle is the name of the book. And it seems to me like I sold a man by the name of Burroughs a book.
He lived at Gage, so he wouldn't be in the book.
No.
Oh.
It was just on the Panhandle. I began with the Precambrian period and ended at statehood. Okay, then you get to see them quite often then.
Well, not as often as I'd like to.
No, of course not, but
Let's see. Do you have a son living here?
yes,
Jackson?
yes.
I lived right across the street from him. They just got my furniture out of the house yesterday, the rest of it.
Oh, John L. Jackson, and his wife is Paula.
I never did get acquainted with him very much because I was teaching.
Yes,
And then when I was teaching, she was working,
yes,
and he was working, and then he had his heart attack.
yes.
So I didn't know him very well. But I did hear about you writing a book.
Which house now? Was it straight across or
It's the one right in the middle of the block.
the middle of the block?
White house with a little step, about this big, little porch.
I remember the house. Did you and Paula back into each other one time when you were backing out of your garages?
No.
That is almost it.
No, I think it was my next door neighbor,
Oh, your next
south
door.
Miss Wright.
Oh. Yes, Laverne. We call her Laverne. Her name's Paula Laverne. And she went by Laverne until she got into the business world, and then she had to change it to Paula. Is there anything else that you can think of?
No, I can't.
Can you remember any of your school teachers when you were going to school? Can you remember your first school teacher?
Yes, her name was Mrs. Weaver. I thought she was so old, but I did love her. And then I think my favorite teacher was my English teacher when I was a senior in high school, Audrey DeGear.
And that was where now?
Gage.
At
Went
Gage.
to school all the years I went, except when I went to college.
Do you know Beulah Schaefer?
Oh yes, she was in my class.
Oh, she was? Well,
I got a master's degree from Oklahoma A&M, or Oklahoma State then.
in
Elementary education.
Let's see, from where now?
Oklahoma State
Oklahoma
University at Stillwater. course, we had to go back and take summer school.
Yes. Well, tell me, what do you think of the progress in school in their methods of teaching children from the time that you started to school to the present? Do you think they've really improved the method, or do you think that we should go back to the good old days of teaching?
Well, I think we should have a good foundation, the first 3 grades especially.
Yes.
And then from there, if they get a good foundation, I think they can learn a lot on their own.
Yes. I know when my son started to school, they had a different way of teaching them to read.
Mm-hmm.
They just threw the word up and they were supposed to know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't teach phonics.
No.
I didn't approve of it, but I was afraid I would confuse him if I taught him at home my way, and the teacher would teach him another way. So I let him go. You know, he's not the reader that he should have been. What do you think of teaching phonics?
I like phonics. I taught it some when it wasn't even, in the curriculum.
That's right. I did too. I think that's the only way to teach them to read.
Well, I think there's some mighty good readers that never had phonics.
Oh, yes.
Excuse me, I'm going to have to stand up.
Have you had good health all your life?
Yes, unusually good health until I broke my hip. And it's caused all sorts of complications in the bones.
And who was your doctor?
Dr. Meese. There was a doctor at Enid that set my hip. Dr. Meese wouldn't attempt it. And we didn't have a bone doctor then.
Who was your doctor in Enid, do you remember?
I'll think of it, maybe.
Dr. Kemp?
No, it was in the same.
Blankenship?
No. Let's see. Can't think of it.
Fuller? Well,
McIntyre was one of the doctors in
McIntyre.
that group. There were 4 or 5 in that group.
Yes.
But the one that did mine, his name has slipped my mind. My poor mind.
Well, it doesn't matter. The main thing is that you get better. Get feeling better.
Well, I guess the doctor thought there was no chance of completely getting over it because he wanted me to move out here and get rid of my furniture. So that house is for sale.
Oh, it is? How many rooms is it?
2 bedrooms.
2 bedrooms.
Living room and dining room together in a nice big kitchen.
Well, can we think of anything else? Surely in your busy life, and I know you've been a busy lady, working for other people, it seems like all the time. Anything else we can think of?
I can't think of anything else.
When I guess you noticed that I limp. I'm one of the lucky polio victims.
Oh.
Yesterday I forgot my cane, and so I just tried to walk up and not pay any attention.
That's hard to do, isn't it?
That's hard to do.
I didn't mention that there were several other outstanding pupils in my classes
That's right.
besides John, but his name just came to me.
Yes.
that way. That's my, that's,
Then you named Danny Trigo and John Sparks.
and
Any girls? Any women?
well, the Cullen girl, Leela's daughter. You'll have to find out the name from somebody else.
Okay.
I'm forgetting more than I'm remembering. She was an outstanding student. Jane Riley was an outstanding student. That was Wilson's daughter.
Could either one of these that you have named give us a good tape?
They don't live here anymore.
Oh, they don't.
Let's see.
Do you know of anybody in town that could?
Mildred Hefner.
Mildred Hefner.
She could give you a good tape on a lot of these people.
Okay. Mildred Hefner.
And Elizabeth Cutler. Elizabeth was the secretary to the superintendent for years and years. Mildred Hefner taught math in junior high for years. Oh.
Honey, you're suffering so I'm going to draw this to a close. It's been a pleasure interviewing Birdie Catherine Moore, but this is one of her bad mornings and she is suffering, so I'm going to cut this short. Maybe some other day when you're feeling better we can come back and I can talk more. And I want to thank you for being so gracious to me this morning.
Thank you for coming.